Here is your hottest XLM and HBAR news combined in one video. Are you ready to explore this? We're going to get into some key details and updates around both of those tokens in this video. Let's start here. Interoperability isn't just a technical feature. It is the foundation of crypto to evolve from a speculative asset into a core part of global finance.
Like the traditional banks don't like the changes, and they seem to be fighting the changes using lobbyists in the U.S. to sort of block the changes. But I think you have it, because I've heard you speak many times, I think you have a different view. If the banks actually embrace this, they would do way better. It would actually help their profit margin. So make that pitch. Pretend we have banking executives here who have gone to the American Banking Association and said, hey, you got to try to slow roll this stuff.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that, the challenge that we had is historically when Bitcoin was first created and when all of the blockchain technologies came to life, there was this notion that we were going to disrupt all of banking infrastructure and that we were going to make it so that it was obsolete. The truth of the matter is that couldn't happen. You need on and off ramps. You need people to be able to utilize their fiat currency to move it on chain. This is why interoperability with traditional financial infrastructure is so important. The reason why banks, we already see, as I said, US Bank just announced their testing on Stellar for a stablecoin that they're issuing. This is really important to see the banks get involved in this. We saw 6 other banks have said they're going to also get into the stablecoin business. It actually really helps them from a treasury standpoint. It's going to save OpEx from them. It's going to make it so that they can actually move transactions faster and cleaner and more securely. They don't have to look at 14 different databases to be able to determine where an asset is. When Franklin Templeton started running, when the SEC approved their asset, so again, this is a money market fund on Stellar, when they approved that asset, they had to run both their databases and they ran Stellar to show the SEC that it was actually accurate and an appropriate use of the technology. And one thing that happened, there's 2 things, is that when the blockchain actually goes more decimal points. So it was actually more accurate than the databases that they were leveraging. But secondly, they looked at the savings that they had internally from a cost saving standpoint. And for every settlement, for every transaction that was settled, it used to be that it was $1.50 per transaction for them, for their money market fund. They now are $1.50 for 50,000 transactions. So when you think about the cost savings of using this technology, a global open public network, and then you think about what can I do with my internal employees and with all of this new space that we have, you can build more products. You can make it so it's way more interesting to be able to deliver these products to your users, to your clients. And so I think about it from a bank standpoint, this is why the banks need to engage. This is why the banks are engaging on some level. And this is why they need to get much more comfortable with this tech stack.
All right, so what I understand here is the savings, you're going from 75,000 for those 50,000 transactions to $1.50. That is a huge savings. Banks need the crypto industry and the crypto industry needs the banks. We need to find that balance to push forward. All right, Stellar has some big news here. X-Ray, the privacy protocol upgrade, is now live on mainnet. What it is unlocking here is smooth migration of existing ZK applications, more efficient proof systems, lower costs for ZK-based contracts, and a bridge to the broader ZK ecosystem. I wanted to get a little bit more information and due diligence here so you can have it. This upgrade is a big deal because it finally gives Stellar native, programmable, zero-knowledge privacy in a way that is designed for banks, fintechs, and real-world assets, not just DeFi. It effectively turns Soroban into a serious platform for compliant smart contracts, which is where most institutional demand is heading. So what banks need here is the privacy to be able to do their transactions without telling the world who and what the transaction is. This allows them to take advantage of the liquidity of the public Stellar XLM chain, but also get that privacy that they desire. And so X-Ray Protocol 25 adds the support for BN254 elliptic curve Poseidon hash functions directly to Soroban. That was a mouthful. These primitives let contracts verify ZK snark proofs on-chain efficiently instead of relying on clunky off-chain workarounds and custom circuits. Because the primitives match Ethereum's EIP 196 and 197 stack, existing ZK apps and tooling from EVM land can migrate and extend to Stellar with relatively low friction. So if there's already apps built out there, maybe on Ethereum, they can be brought over to Stellar with great ease and little friction, they're saying. And then why it matters for Stellar's strategy. Stellar has been leaning hard into payments, tokenized real world assets, and regulated fintech. Those use cases need privacy plus auditability, not just anonymity. X-Ray is explicitly framed as compliance forward privacy. Institutions can prove KYC and AML assets backing credit worthiness without exposing full user data while still leaving verifiable trails for regulators. This aligns with the network's push for self-sovereign identity and verifiable credentials, where ZK proofs are the backbone. You're also seeing this being rolled out on the XRP ledger. Obviously, it's a little bit different, but the same zero knowledge proofs that banks and financial institutions are going to need. If you want a little bit more due diligence, you can pause the video here and read all of this. We're going to move on since there is a lot more things to get to. Let's go. All right. And then X Finance Bull said, breaking XLM ranks #1 bullish sentiment across the entire market, even as the price drops. Are you guys bullish on XLM? Are you still buying? Let me know down in the comments. And obviously, if you like this content, please like the video so I know to create more of this. That's the best way to tell me, Sensei, we want more. I'll give you more if you want it. Stellar is plugged into Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, and Circle. If you think it ends at 23 cents, you're crazy. I just added you're crazy, sorry. Some of us are holding through this silence because we've seen how these cycles flip. Sentiment always leads price. Fundamentals always catch up. HODL, Stellar, let's go. And then also interesting, Virtuals is on here, Caspa's on here, World Liberty, Kronos, Floki, Jamsey Coin. Where are they pulling this information? All right, let's keep going. Stellar isn't promising. This is action. XLM flows with giants, of course, highlighting Visa, PayPal, Circle, Franklin Templeton. That's not future alignment. That's live infrastructure. XLM is integrated with institutions that already move global finance. Price may lag, but adoption doesn't. You don't wait for confirmation when the groundwork is in this deep. Ignore day to day. Focus on where the real liquidity is going. Most will react late. You already see it.